Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Welcome back, everyone, to Referrals Podcast. Are you the face of your county? Are you the face of your community? And I will tell you today, you're going to learn how to give value in a way that generates whatever you want in life. If you want more referrals, you can get it. You want more wealth, you can get it. You want more health, you can get it. You want more happiness, you can get it. And you know what? You can get it by simply giving value to others. I love the concept of today. I can't wait to dive deep into it. But of course, I'm going to make you wait because I have a couple of shout outs and announcements that I got to make. First of all, Monique Harps is one of our certified event mastery coaches. She's also a certified referral trainer. Ladies and gentlemen, she got to be on Dave Ramsey last week, and she did her debt-free scream because she paid off her house in a matter of 22 months, and we got to all be a part of it over the last 2 years, and I'm so proud of her, and I'm just so thrilled for Monique Harps. Go to joingengen.com, join our generosity generation, and get in there and celebrate with all of us as we celebrate Monique Harps paying off her house and being a part of the Dave Ramsey show and being debt-free. So very excited. You know, it's one of those where it's just like a daughter who made it happen. So love that. And then also, you need to join November, right? So it's not November, it's Notvember. Notvember is our 30-day challenge. It's 30 notes in 30 days. You're going to get 30 days of coaching from me. And every single day, I'm going to prompt you with an instructional video, and it tells you who to write each and every day. I love doing it. This is the 12th year in a row we've done it. You can sign up at Notvember, Notvember.com, Notvember.com. I have to tell you, many people are getting referrals from writing these handwritten notes, and I'm going to show you how. So hopefully you can join us for Notvember.com. It's going to be a blast. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, without further ado, let's introduce our very special guest today. Our special guest is Brad Abernathy. He's a full-time realtor and marketer. He is vice president and partner with the Norton Agency in Gainesville, Georgia, and is also the managing partner of the Abernathy Cochran Real Estate Group and the creator and president of the Faces of LLC. He wrote a great ebook called Face Value, Building Influence by Giving Value to Others. You know, obviously, like that tore at my heart, right? That's perfect, right? He grew up with real estate as his family's business. After completing his degree at Georgia Tech, Abernathy went to work in the business he knew all of his life. In 2009, he and Regina Cochran formed the Abernathy Cochran Group to serve their clients together in a collaborative effort. That's right, collaboration greater than competition. Together, their group has been the leader in home sales in Northeast Georgia's Hall County, closing more than $422 million in residential real estate sales since 2010. Brad and his wife Jill have been married for 27 years. They have 2 daughters and live in Gainesville, Georgia, but can also be found occasionally at the beach on Amelia Island, Florida, or at Beach Falls Farm in Northeast Georgia. Brad loves spending time with his family and friends in the outdoors, golfing, walking, and also reading. They also attend First Baptist Church of Gainesville, and today we get the opportunity to spend time with the man, Mr. Brad Abernathy. Welcome to Referrals Podcast.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here.
Well, all right. So how'd you get into real estate in the first place?
Well, it was all in my family. And, my father was in it. My mother was in it. I had aunts in it. My sister was in it. I knew that was the course I was going to go into.
Yeah, I love it. And what year did you get in?
Well, I got my real estate license in 1991 while I was at Georgia Tech, just over a summer. And I first started practicing real estate in January of 1996.
Okay. Love that. So you've seen it all. You've really been through quite a few of the ups and downs of the real estate world. So,
I got married in December of 1995, and I started a full-time commission-only job the next month.
That's gutsy. That's a way to test your relationship and commitment. That's awesome.
That's right.
Right out of the chute. So, all right. So one of the ways that we got connected, and most of the time, I probably get 5 to 6 emails a week on people who want to be on Referrals podcast, even to the point where they'll give us money to be on the podcast. And it doesn't happen very often, just simply because it's not a fit for our listeners. Our listeners are people who build their businesses on love, generosity, and appreciation. Well, in your case, I got your blog post, and the blog post was, I got it right here. The blog post was the faces of Hall County led to golf course listings and sales and a ton of visibility. And it was talking about you interviewing someone in your community, and that turned into a great business, right? But you led by giving value, and it sounds like kind of that's your game. That's the way you go about this. Is you go around every day giving value. Is that an accurate assessment?
That's an accurate assessment. Yes.
Yeah, but you don't just go around and talk the talk. What I love is you also walk the walk, because you're taking these interviews. You're not just going and talking to someone and giving value to that one person, and that one person's the only person that maybe knows about the value that you give. You're actually saying, all right, I've got this community of people, and I'm going to interview and talk about that person in front of all my people. So you've got this community aspect to it. All right, so I heard a story about how you were able to land 13 golf course lots through the power of connections and referral. So tell us that golf course story.
Okay. So we started the Faces of Hall County project in the fall of 2015 as a way. The realtors in my group, there's just a few of us, but we were spending a lot of time really showing our community first, and we would give people tours, whether they're going to move here or move to Huntsville, Alabama, or Greenville, South Carolina. They were thinking, where am I going to move? And so we always started that off by showing Lake Lanier, showing the Blue Ridge Mountains, showing the proximity that we have to Atlanta and the Atlanta Braves and Falcons and all the colleges around us. And we really live in one of the best places in the world. And what we were doing, we were showing places. We were showing this building and this hospital, and here's this school, and here's the downtown. But if you ask everybody around here why they're here, what they love most about Hall County, Georgia, they always say the people. And so we decided that we would tell the story of our community through the people, and we would give people a tour of our community through the people here, asking them what they like most about it. So when we first started the project, we decided that this would not be a who's who project like anything else. It would not be a 40 under 40. This would be the happiest people we can find in our community, no matter what their age, no matter what their profession, no matter what they do. We would like to spend a few minutes with them, take their photo, their smiling face, and ask them a few questions about their life here in our community, what their favorite restaurant is, or who the most interesting person they've ever known here, or something. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we were doing. We were doing that, and I decided that we would tell 2 stories a week. And one of the people that we met, first of all, one of the people that I wanted to interview was Roger Hogan, who is the director of golf at my favorite golf course here in Gainesville, and we did his interview.
All right, hold on a second. Is he a relationship to Ben Hogan?
He's not.
Okay, no. That would have been just like drop the mic type of thing. So he's a head golf pro, and his last name's Hogan. That's a really good start.
Well, I will say that it wasn't just Roger's interview. When we do an interview, we put the interview and the picture on our website, and then from the website we will do a snippet of it onto Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or Pinterest or wherever, even email marketing and stuff like that, to get people to click on that link to come to our website to see Roger's interview and then read about other people while they're there. So that's what we do. And so we did that for Roger. In the spring of 2016 is when we did Rogers. We also, through the course of this project, did our assistant city manager, Angela Shepard, and we shared her posts. And we have a Masters champion that actually lives on this golf course named Tommy Aaron. He won the Masters in the early 70s, and we did his interview. And we did the mayor's interview. And so all this came to, I've got 2,500 different agents that sold property in my county last year. Mm-hmm. So when it came time that the city manager's office and the city manager, the city owns the golf course, and the golf course manager started talking about different things they wanted to do. And all these people were involved. I was connected to them. And Roger decided that he wanted to rebuild Chattahoochee Golf Course and change it a little bit, and it was going to cost about $2.5 million to do it. How could they do it? He asked me a couple of questions about could we sell off a lot or two, and he came to me and asked me, and then I got involved in giving him some advice about what lots could sell for, and actually how much. We ended up carving about 7 acres off, and ended up with 13 lots. I was advising. They kept asking me to advise. And then they asked me, would I handle the marketing and sales for those lots? And of course I would. And so long story short, I've been involved since the very beginning. All the main players that were involved in this golf course redesign and stuff, I had touched and I had connections with, and I had given them value, and hopefully they felt good enough about it I was a common denominator with a bunch of them. And so when I interviewed Roger in 2016, this whole thing didn't happen until 2020. So
yeah,
if you only try to give value to and keep score, I would have been that interview didn't work out for me. Mm-hmm. Well, 4 years later it did, and it worked out so well
in a big way. What are the results on that? So you carved out 7 acres, 13 golf course lots, and what's the result? Did you sell any?
So we have sold all of them except for one. There's one still active on the market right now. There are 3 of them that are under contract. Mm-hmm. So we've closed out 9. On those 9 closings, I was a double agent. I represented the buyer and the seller on 8 of those, and I'm representing the buyer and seller on a couple of them that are under contract. So when all is told right now, I have about $125,000 in commissions.
That was a pretty good interview. I think that was worth waiting, 5-6 years on, and you didn't even know it was going to come up. And this is a redevelopment of a golf course is not something you could predict. This is something happened, and you had already built the relationship with a few of the people that were going to make that possible. And then it happened. And of course you were involved because of giving value to them in the first place. Right. And you were also, you could have, like you said, you could have just said, well, it didn't happen. I'm okay. It's on the website, and keep moving on. But you maintain those relationships in a way, and you were open to receive when it happened. And when they said, well, do you want to, talk to us about this a little bit? And you're like, you could have shrugged it and maybe seen it as not an opportunity or whatever it may be. But you were open to receive it. And even though it might've been paid off 3 or 4 years down the road, new construction, they got to do a lot of the permit work. They got to do a lot. It's going to be a longer process than maybe a sale of a residence that's already built. So, I love that you were a generous giver and an appreciative receiver. And that's one of the things we have to be. A lot of us are generous givers, but where we fall short is appreciative receiving. When somebody says, hey, how can I help you? We throw our hand up and go, no, I got it. I'm okay. No problem. But when somebody says, hey, how can I help you? We need to answer referrals or an introduction or a connection, or tell them about a property you have that they might know somebody that would like to see it, whatever it may be. So I love that.
Yeah. Everything that we built with our business is based on this book, The Go-Giver.
Yeah.
and Larry Kendall's book, Ninja Selling. We tried to follow these 5 laws, and that's the first law of the Go-Giver is to give value, and obviously give more in value than you take in payment. The last law is to be open to receive. And I try to teach people that when you turn somebody down when they're trying to give something to you, when you don't receive it, you're breaking this amazingly powerful cycle, and you're not giving them the opportunity to give. And I think I think you have to be open to receive all the time, and you never know where it's going to go.
That's right. Just be open to it, right? Be open to opportunities, right. Be open. And I love, so, I think you said if you choose to join us, and this is the Faces Of project, as the host of your project, and you're talking about agents who become part of the Faces Of, you are making yourself more visible and more relevant, which leads to having more influence. And that's the big thing here is you gave massive value first, and it led to visibility, it led to relevance, and it led to influence. You want to talk more about like how the Faces Of project leads to visibility, relevance, and influence?
I will. It was a project that we started again in the fall of 2015, and we weren't newbies by any chance. We were doing really well in 2015 in sales. We led our county in sales in that year. And I spent thousands of dollars on SEO and different ways to get people to our website to improve visibility. The best I ever had and achieved was 568 people a month on average for an entire year. And then we started the Faces Of project, which immediately blew things crazy. And within 6 months, we had 4,000 people averaging on our website every month. I don't care that they weren't looking for a house necessarily. They were reading about their neighbors, and they were loving what we were doing to improve our community, to introduce each other, to introduce everybody to one another again, to introduce everybody to one another, help them get to know one another a little bit better, but also introducing people to the world. So people love that, and so it just exploded our visibility. I like to say that when we try to increase our sphere of influence, how do we do that? How does a normal person do that? And I like the second law of the Go-Giver is the law of compensation. It says your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. I have the laws posted on my wall.
Yeah.
And how well you serve them. So I think to me, that means reach, and that means the sphere of influence. And when I reach out to Roger Hogan, the golf course professional, who I know because I go out there and play golf some, but I don't know his dreams I don't know about his family. When I go and I showcase him as a face of our community, as one of the shining lights of our community, it's my spotlight that's shining on him. And when I promote that out to social media so that everybody can pick up on it and read it, his friends are seeing it, his inner sphere is seeing it, his family, his parents or grandparents, for wherever they're from, are seeing it, and they all feel this sense of love for Roger again. And so what I've done is I've shined a light on his sphere of influence, and I've increased my sphere of influence a little bit in a molecular way. I'm reaching out and touching this guy and everybody around him. And I do the same thing over here and the same thing over here. And all of a sudden my sphere of influence isn't just a circle. It spokes everywhere. And, it within 1 year, our sales went up 68%. It's been like that. It's an incredible journey. And when I'm trying to help people do this same thing, I decided that I had a friend that asked me, will you tell me everything you're doing? And I said, no, I'm not going to share anything that I'm doing. This is all working. I'm going to share it. And he finally talked me into it. And I gave him a large dollar amount. I said, if you pay me this, I'll show you the whole thing. And he did. And I laid it all out, and he never implemented it. Could not implement it himself. And so I gave him his money back, and I said, there's got to be a different way. Maybe we can implement this whole thing and make it something that's scalable for an agent in Topeka, Kansas, or somebody in Juneau, Alaska, to do something for their community, and we can support them. And so that's what we're done. We now coach and have partners in 34 different states. We have 2 partners now in Canada. And so we're supporting them monthly with value. We're helping them grow their community network. So that's what we're doing. It's fun.
Love that. All right, give me the third and fourth laws of stratospheric success from Go Giver, because I know I'm going to be asked, because you've given me 1, 2, and 5, right?
Okay.
So let's complete that for our very specificity minded listeners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bob Berg in the Go Giver writes the 5 laws of stratospheric success are: number 1, the law of value.
Yep.
Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Law number 2 is the law of compensation. Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. That's your reach. Number 3 is the law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. Mm-hmm. Now, in the faces of what we try to do there is, I don't keep score. I want to highlight somebody and make their day, make their month. And just, when they're out in public, people walk up to them and say, I loved your answer for your favorite movie is whatever, and people love the attention. And I say people need food, they need water, they need shelter, and they need attention. And what people do not get most of the time is attention, mm-hmm. in the form of recognition or love or whatever. And we're giving it to them. The 4th law is the law of authenticity. It says the most valuable gift that you have to offer is yourself. And the 5th law is the law of receptivity. The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. Mm-hmm. So that's,
love it.
One of our golf course lots that I actually was on both sides of was a lady. Her name is Dixie, and she is a dairy farmer and highly involved with some ag charities and Chamber of Commerce and different things like that. And we interviewed her a few years ago too. And you would think she would never move from the dairy farm, and she still may not. But she decided that she and her husband wanted to buy a lot closer to our country club and the golf course where he plays golf all the time. And I sold them one of the listings that we had. I introduced them to a custom home builder that I work for, but my group works for this custom home builder, which is pretty amazing too, because we did his interview back in 2015 and he hired us to be his marketing arm. But we put them together and earned a commission on a $1.7 million house, plus sold the lot to her. So, I mean, it's never knew that was going to happen. You just do it. Just
keep going, right? And doing it consistently. How many? And are you doing the interviews on audio, on paper, on video, or all of the above?
So we tried 2 videos over the course of 700 interviews, and we stopped the videos right away because people wanted to re-record and they didn't like their hair or whatever,
I definitely understand that part.
Yeah. So everything we do is written. It's a Q&A. It's a quick Q&A. We send out either a Google form that they can fill out. What I like to do is send out a Google form or one of our website forms that we have connected to our websites. They fill it out, and then I ask them to meet me for coffee. Actually, I say, can you meet me for coffee next Tuesday morning at 9 or 10 or whatever? And they say yes, and then I'll say, all right, I'm going to send you this Google form with a Q&A. Go ahead and fill it out. We'll have that to talk about when we're having coffee. They sort of feel like that's their deadline to get it done. It takes them 10 or 15 minutes.
Brilliant.
It's fun questions.
Yeah. What are some questions you ask? Yeah. What are some questions you ask?
So one of the things was, if you can pick anybody that's alive today that's not a family member, who would you most love to have lunch with? And where locally would you take them? So we always promote those things like that. So when somebody says, a kid that was a valedictorian of our high school, he moved here from Africa. He went to our high school, valedictorian. He went to Notre Dame. He was about to head off to Notre Dame, and we interviewed the kid. His name is Kingsley. And that question he answered that he always wanted to have lunch with Jimmy Carter, former president. Who knew why? But he wanted to have lunch with Jimmy Carter. So this is such an interesting thing because Kingsley was probably never going to move back here. He's going to be a neurosurgeon, smart as a whip. But we did his interview. And some people may say, why'd you waste your time doing his interview? Because he's not buying real estate here. Or he's about to go up. It's going to be years before he might come back.
Yeah, you're interviewing a kid.
We're interviewing great people. And this kid is a great person. So that's all we cared about. When we put his interview out there and his people were reading his Q&A, and they said, Jimmy Carter, if you want to meet Jimmy Carter, you ought to go down to Plains, Georgia, because Jimmy Carter, like once a month, leads a Sunday school class for anybody that wants to come. And so he went back and told his family, he said, we can go to Sunday school with Jimmy Carter. And they all did. Like the next week, they all did. They all got pictures with Jimmy Carter. And it's just all because our community said something or saw it and said, hey, go. And he went. And that's the kind of thing. Just funny stuff like that. I mean,
where did he say he wanted to take them locally? I'm genuinely curious. Like, where did he want to take them to lunch?
I don't know.
Do you remember? It's okay. You don't. But that's such a great question because then you've got these restaurants and local places that you can work into the conversation as well. And
yes,
if you have 10 of these and 5 of them say the same place, you could call that restaurant and go, I just want to say congratulations. We got. We did last 10 interviews we did. 5 of them said they'd have lunch with their favorite person at your place. How cool is that, right?
And we've done that with social media. We'll put out like, here's the top 10 restaurants that were mentioned in in the 2021 Faces of All County interviews, and they love it. They eat it up.
That's beautiful. What other questions do you ask? I understand you said what's your favorite movie of all time is one of them, right?
I did, and sometimes one of the funny ones is I'll ask if a movie was made about your life, who would you want to play you as the lead role?
Yeah,
and that gets some funny stuff sometimes, Or one guy the other day said, "I don't know, but my wife said it better be George Clooney." So obviously,
yeah, but the wife has to understand she doesn't get to play the opposite. But
right,
it's all good. Well, all right.
We'll ask things like, "What do you love most about our town?" And or what business here? If they're a longtime resident, what business here makes you the most nostalgic about this town? Or every now and then we'll get a negative answer, and I just don't publish it because this is a total puff piece, and I'm about positive, and so.
All right. So I've got some questions for you. So what's your favorite movie of all time?
Oh gosh, I would probably have to say Forrest Gump.
Okay. So, all right, they're going to make a movie about your life, Brad. Who's going to play the lead?
Harrison Ford.
Okay. You know what? I can see that. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. And then what do you love most about your town?
Well, I love the people here.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. And we were joking earlier about it's a cosmopolitan town. I mean, we're having Vietnamese restaurants opening up. We have all different kinds of people here, and I love them all. And what I love most about this project is we're not just interviewing the Democrats or the Republicans or the people that go to this school or that school. I mean, it is. Maya Angelou said it, and I'm going to mess up this quote, but we're all a lot more alike than we are different, and that's what I love about it.
Love that. All right. So, who alive would you like to take to lunch, and where locally would you take them?
Oh boy. So I have a lot. I asked that question so many times; it changes a lot. A while back, it was Condoleezza Rice.
Okay.
I would love to take Condoleezza Rice to Two Dog Cafe.
Okay, now we're talking. Two Dog Cafe. I love it. All right, what do you like about Two Dog Cafe? Why out of all the places you could take Condoleezza Rice, why are you taking her to Two Dog?
Well, I think most of the time it's full of locals. They bake their own bread. They source their own vegetables here locally, and it's just the chef is not a chef. He is self-taught, and I think that's cool.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. So tell us about the Faces of project. So we've got real estate agents, mortgage professionals, financial planners, solopreneurs. We even have CMOs, marketing officers, and CEOs, chief executive officers, of Fortune 500 and Fortune 1000 companies who listen to the podcast. Right? How do they
Right.
learn more about the Faces of project? And I have to tell. I mean, so first of all, how do they find out more about it?
The best way is our website is thefacesof.com. It's an information website. There's a couple of videos on there. That's where I put my blogs, where I've started sending out. That's what you got the other day. Um, it's finding the right people to do this is the most important thing for us. And Larry Kendall told us the other day at our partners meeting what we had, and he led that, and he told us about a book about give and take, and the givers, the takers, and the matchers, and
Mhm.
you've got to be a giver for this to work. You can't be a taker, even though takers extract value really fast a lot of times and don't really last very long. But if you want to be a long-term person and long-term business and have a business successful to pass down to others or to sell, um, being a giver is what we want. And so you find out information about the Faces of on our website, thefacesof.com. We'll schedule a call with you, and you can learn if your community is open. I've decided a long time ago that I only want to promote one person per community, and 5 to 50,000 people in a community is plenty. And that's sort of where we're focused, is to try to create closer community through others around the world.
Yeah. And I love what you're doing. I mean, also, you have a special gift for our Referrals podcast listeners. You wrote a great ebook called Face Value: Building Influence by Giving Value to Others. And that's for people to download at referralspodcast.com. You can access it there, and you can find out more about what they're doing. The very generous gift to all of our listeners and viewers, very much appreciated. And, that's going to lead them to inquire about the Faces of and what you're doing through these interviews. And I think it's going to be a relief for many of, especially the realtors, who have wanted to do like a community project through interviews, but felt like they had to do it on video. And with the video, there's so much setup and there's so much. I absolutely love the way you're doing it. And you can do it by volume. You can do it through scale and leverage, versus having to, plan the time for the video and all the different things that video setup takes. Now, I'm not discounting that doing video interviews is a great strategy and idea as well, but the ones you're doing are just so quicker hitting. And if you have a picture on the site of the person that's interviewed, and then you have the interview questions, that's going to evoke emotional message that is very close to what a video would. So, and it gives the interviewee, the person being interviewed, a chance to think about their answers. Versus,
Yes.
oh my gosh, we're rolling, the film's right in front of me, and I gotta think that it's Harrison Ford that's going to play me in a movie, right? So, this is fantastic. Really appreciate the gift. I hope everybody takes advantage of that. Go on to referralspodcast.com, download the book. We'll also have links to the facesof.com site and more information on what Brad's doing with that project. And I think the biggest thing is what is, and I love that. You mentioned three really good friends of mine, right? Larry Kendall. And, I love, he wrote one of my favorite endorsements of 7L. He said, basically he said this book is going to be a classic, and Michael J. Maher is one of the greatest salespeople in the world, and he shows why in this book. I'd like drop the mic. Thank you very much for that. And then you talk to Bob Berg, right? He was a big part of our daily dose that we did as part of the Referrals podcast during 2020. I've met him several times and been down to his house, and I've had Dunkin' Donuts coffee several times with Mr. Berg, and Bob's a great guy. And then, you talk about Adam Grant with Give and Take. And it's somebody that I've talked a lot about on here with what he talks about who are the worst salespeople in the world and who are the best salespeople in the world. So he interviewed and he did the research and did surveys, and they was it a giver? Was it a matcher? somebody that's tit for tat and you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, or a taker who literally just really didn't ever give and they were just there to take. They're closers and that kind of thing. It's like, who's the worst salespeople of all time? People think it's going to be takers, but it's not. The answer is actually givers. Givers are at the bottom there are givers who are the worst salespeople of all time, right? And so he kept, the surveys came in and he started like, who the second worst? Well, we're all right. We understand takers tend to be the second worst salespeople of all time. And then he gets to, all right, who are some of the best? And it's like matchers are better than takers and the givers at sales. So most people are like, all right, we're done here. But no, Adam kept looking at the numbers and doing the research and the analysis. And what he found at the top was there is a sliver of 2 to 8% of the top salespeople in the world, right? The Brad Abernathys of the world, the Michael Mahers of the world. And he discovered something really crazy. He discovered the best salespeople in the world were also givers. And he said that the bottom people were the sacrificial lambs and the top givers were the roaring lions. So what were the difference between the sacrificial lambs and the roaring lions? What was the difference between the worst salespeople of all time and the best salespeople? Well, the best salespeople were appreciative receivers. They had opened themselves up to receiving and being open to opportunity and relationships and connection and referrals. And so it was very interesting, his research that he did on that is, we have a lot of givers who maybe struggle in sales. We have takers who struggle in sales. We have matchers but the ones who truly soar and are part of the top 10% and the ones who make millions in sales are the givers who are also really good at being appreciative receivers. And that's what I love about your project, Brad, is that you help generous givers become appreciative receivers by getting them to post the information, post a blog, and put it out there. Because we have people who are doing the interviews. They're doing these really good one-to-ones, but who knows about it? The only people that know about it are the two people that met for lunch or coffee. But what if you had this list that you could publish online on a YouTube channel somewhere, and you could show the world about this really special person you met? And that's the beauty of the Faces Of. I love the project. I love what you're doing. And I'm very excited about what you're doing in the future with it. And I think everybody should look at it and take advantage of the opportunity. I really, really do.
Thank you very much. It's a blessing to me. I'm not a writer. I would be voted in my high school as the least likely to write a book. And so,
and you wrote a book.
I'm also about positive and about vision boards. And so somebody challenged me and said, you say you can do anything. So I wrote the book. The book got me face to face with Bob Berg. The book got me talking to Larry Kendall many times. I mean, it's just, I don't care. I had to put a price on it. I don't care what it is. I hope I never sell. I hope I never have to rely on sales of the book. I like to give them. Mm-hmm. And I like to tell people that there are plenty of people out there trying to teach you how to sell real estate or teach you how to sell insurance, teach you how to build spheres of influence. And most of those people aren't in our business. Most of those people have never done it successfully. I have blazed a path that this is exactly what you can do. You can do it in any town. It's simple. It's not anything about me. It's just about the process, and you can follow along this path I've done and be successful.
Well, that's what really attracted me to you, right? Is that you walk the walk as well as talk the talk. You don't just talk the talk, you're walking the walk. You're using your own product. What's amazing to me is some people that espouse certain things and they're not even doing it. They're not even using it. So I love that about you and what you're doing. And one of the things I really want to highlight about the Faces Of and what you're doing is you didn't choose the most famous or the politicians or the people who are used to speaking and being interviewed. You took the happiest people, the most positive people that you knew. Right. And the beauty of that is that we need to highlight the positive because so much out there highlights the negative because negative equals news, right? But the other thing that's going to do for you and your clients is that's going to increase their energy. When you meet with a positive person, when you meet with a happy person, it makes you more positive. It makes you happier by just the energy exchange that takes place. So it's kind of like we're going to force you to be positive. We're going to force you to be happy. We're going to make you go talk to positive and happy people. And you know what happens when you talk to positive and happy people? Not only do you become more positive and happy, you become more referable. You become more attractive. And, that leads us to today. So once again, I just really, really appreciate you being on Referrals Podcast, Brad. And I hope everybody that listens and watches this goes to thefacesof.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Ladies and gentlemen, another amazing episode of Referrals Podcast. And I have to tell you, I know the next one in the hopper. I know what we're talking about. You are going to be so, you're going to hear 2 drop the mic moments next week that you got to check it out. And then let me know what you think. Go to joingengen.com, joingen.com. Let me know what you think about the Referrals Podcast and who would make a great future Referrals Podcast interview. We'd love to talk to them. And we'd love to talk to you. So we'll see you in joingengen.com, and we'll see you next time on Referrals Podcast. See you, everybody.